What's up, my friends? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. I am in high spirits, and we got to talk about the wizard. But first things first, I got to share the live stream link in the Discord to let everybody know that we have assembled for some talkitude, and we shall proceed from there. All right, there we go. That's good. And switch it so we can see the chat properly. That's good. All right, the initiation ritual is complete. What up, Rays, Gerthulu, Fisher, Aldini, Kenzigi, Ned, Bubbles, Error, and yes, Error, you are correct about the subject. Jess, Eng, Stormtrooper, Millmaster, Shelton, Pierce, Hurst, Bob, Felonious T, Trevor, Pyre, Potts, Zircon, Some, Ashmead. What's up? What's going on? How you guys doing? I got some iced strawberry Kool-Aid to keep me cool. And yeah, I want to talk about the movie The Wizard, right? So I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but I know some of you definitely are, especially if you're my age and you grew up in like the early era video game system world where you had like Coleco and Atari and Nintendo, which brought like a whole new wave of revitalization. Like Kojiko and Kojiko. That's the name of a cable company. ColecoVision was it was okay, right? Like that was like Pong level stuff, and it didn't really hook me in the same way that the original Nintendo stuff did, right? Like the original Nintendo is where it's at. That era was awesome. That was when graphical upgrades in the world of video games felt for real, like for real, where you go, whoa, 8-bit to 16-bit, and you can feel the difference. Like the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo felt like a mega massive jump. I had PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. None of those felt like a huge step forward in the same way, right? Like that era, just the huge difference between the games. N64 could do a lot, but also a bunch of the games were like clunky and weird, and it didn't feel like the same step forward in some ways. Like Ocarina of Time was amazing, absolutely amazing. But then you've got a bunch of jank for the 64, like Quest 64, which I had fun playing, but if we're being real, it was garbage, right? Like the weird boxy graphics for the 64 were definitely hit and miss. Hit and miss. Just does YouTube give me money for live streams while I'm live, or is it just super chats and memberships? If it plays ads for you before the stream starts, then it would count that. I don't really put ads into the stream, even though YouTube wants me to every 6 minutes. At the beginning of every stream, actually, it's right up there at the top of the screen right now where it says, focus on your live stream and let YouTube insert ads for you. But that means every 6 minutes, it's just going to go ads, right? So like I don't really do that in the live streams because like I don't get me wrong, I like ad money, but the amount of ad money that I'm gonna get for like annoying you guys every 6 minutes in the stream with it is it's not good. It's nothing. So I just look at it and go, whatever. I'll click the play ad button at like the end of the stream where I've already said goodbye and whatever. And if it plays some ads there, well, we're all leaving anyway. So, hey, maybe I'll get a couple of cents, right? So there's that. You people who have YouTube Premium, so anybody who watches it with YouTube Premium, like they've got the actual membership to YouTube, then that's based on how long people watch stuff for. So that would also contribute to it. But yeah, the majority of it, like the 99% lion's share, is definitely super chats and memberships, bro. 100%. 100%. Fisher, you have a working Power Glove? Wait a minute. I don't like the way you put working in quotations, bro. If working just means you can pour olive oil on it and jank yourself off, like that doesn't count as working, bro. Potts, you know of the Wizard and you've never seen it, despite the many times you played Super Mario Brothers 3? Tisk, tisk, tisk. Zircon, you liked Smurfs on the ColecoVision. It was your favorite. You just walked down a path and jumped. That's funny. That's genuinely amusing. All right. What up, Arena Games? Waffle, it played an ad for me just so I know. Well, thanks for letting me know, bro. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I presume that most people do. So that means things are working as they're supposed to, right? Aldini, your favorite ad is Don't Be a Dink. Well, maybe if you're lucky, you'll hear that one today. Every day coming in with the Amazon link. Ding dong. Oh yeah, that's about that 3-note tone worked out so well. It worked out so well. Error with the quote. I love the Power Glove. It's so bad. What up, Birikin? How you doing? Fisher, you missed the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Nintendo game? Bro, you just put the music from that game into my head. Yeah, man. Oh, I remember we played that game so much when I was a kid, and it was so brutal and unforgiving. The old Nintendo games gave you no leeway. You just die and go back to the beginning. Like, eat a double dick, bro. Like 100%. I remember the water level with the seaweed, so obnoxious. Like nowadays, you can just play emulators and save your state, so you can just pop back in where you were, no problem. But back then, all the video games were super unforgiving and told you nothing. And on the note of Super Mario Brothers 3, I had a Japanese copy of Super Mario Brothers 3. We found it in a flea market. It was an original Famicom game that came with a little adapter or whatever, and the Japanese thought that North Americans were weak and sucked at video games, so they made them easier for North Americans. So I came up playing the Japanese version of Super Mario Brothers 3, where no matter what you are big size, when you get hit, you get shrunk down to small Mario. It wasn't like, oh, are you Raccoon Mario when you get hit? Now you're Big Mario, now you're Small Mario. So you didn't have as many health points in that game, and it was harder to play. Also, I had no idea what Toad was saying when I went into his house. He was just saying something like, I don't know, I'm gonna steal what you got in these chests, boy. I never knew what anybody was saying, but you didn't need to know. I remember wanting that game so bad. We found it. It wasn't available in Canada or North America yet at all. And I wanted it so bad, and I was a little kid. So when my dad didn't want to immediately get it, I just started crying. He said, no, we can't get it. And I started crying like a little bitch. And then when we got back to where my mom was, he talked to her, and then they decided, yeah, we can get it. And I was just over the moon, bouncing around. My favorite number is 3 because of Super Mario Brothers 3. I loved Nintendo so much. It was like a religion for me. I had a Mario ceiling fan. I had the subscription to Nintendo Power. I remember when the Super Nintendo first came out and was only available in America. You couldn't get it here in Canada. We drove to the States to get it. And I remember being so blown away by Super Mario World. Absolutely blown away. It was awesome. So awesome. So awesome. So yeah, The Wizard is that old school movie that some people might refer to as a gigantic Nintendo ad. And if you want to refer to it that way, that's fine. I don't even care. I don't know how to judge the movie objectively from the perspective of somebody who wasn't a Super Nintendo fanboy and didn't grow up with it. Bro, I would love to have all those old Nintendo Power magazines again. Those were awesome. I miss that stuff. Real nostalgia. Hey, speaking of what I love, Everyday Esperanto Super Chat says, get your marker out, old man. Give me that board. You got it, big boy. You got it. You're Lord of the Board, rubbing your wang in everyone's face. So yeah, that movie came out. I got to see it in the theater, right? Like, when I think of that movie, I think California. It's crazy because it's a Nintendo movie and it's about Nintendo games, but there's also this like underlying story where like video game movies nowadays don't have like kids with basically PTSD who are dealing with like the loss of their twin sister or whatever and just wants to put their spirit to rest. Like, bro, that's what was going on underneath the hood in that movie. You've got like this little boy Jimmy who might be autistic and he's super troubled about the loss of his sister and he keeps talking about wanting to go to California and like they don't figure out until the end of the movie that by California he just means this dinosaur theme park that's, I don't know if it's near his house or somewhere in California. I don't remember that much, but he just wanted to go to a dinosaur theme park so he could leave a lunchbox with memories of his sister there as a way of resting her spirit. And this was happening in like a Nintendo movie. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Jules, the most popular kid in class, was whoever brought in their Nintendo Power first. Oh, see, like, they weren't technically my Nintendo Powers. They were my dad, so I couldn't take them. I didn't even get to read it until after he was done reading it. In all fairness, I was a dumb kid who would damage things. So, him turning around and saying, yeah, you can read it after me. Okay, that makes sense. That's fine, right? Like, you're dumb, you're young, you don't take good care of stuff. But the reason that The Wizard is on my mind is because apparently, like, the movie they released is 100 minutes long, but the original, this is the story that I read. Like, when the movie was originally being made, the executives in charge of it demanded that the entire thing get shot, whereas the director was like, bro, I'd like to basically trim this down to about an hour and a half-ish. And they were like, no! You record the whole thing. 150 minutes. So like 2.5 hours. The original Wizard was supposed to be 2.5 hours. And I just want to know where that is. I'm like, yo, I thought it had been released. I was doing internet searches today, looking for it, going, where do I find the 2.5 hour version of The Wizard? But it looks like it never actually was released in any way, shape, or form, which I found super disappointing because I want to know what that extra hour entails. What could they possibly cram in there? Some of it's character building between some of the main characters. I know that, but like, bro, that movie was a lot of fun, right? You had like random video games in there, just like check it out, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and you had Christian Slater and Beau Bridges. Like they had like top shelf at the time actors in that movie, which you're just like, wait, what? Right? And on a side note, Carly does not like the way Christian Slater looks. She has a problem. I don't remember exactly what she said. Maybe his eyes are too close together or too far apart. But it's funny because Christian Slater, as far as I'm concerned, was considered like a real desirable dude from like Hollywood. And she's just like, I don't want none of it. So yeah, the Wizard, it's such a fun movie, right? This little Jimmy kid is so good at video games that they're going to take him to this ultimate competition where they get to play a never seen before game, Super Mario 3, and seeing it on the big screen, bro, I went ape shit. Like, oh, I loved it. I loved it so much. I don't really remember that much about the movie overall, right? Like, you've got the key moments that you remember, like when they go to the rich badass kid's Lucas's house and he's got the power glove. The power glove is garbage, by the way. It's like it never really worked. It never really worked the way it was supposed to. I remember we rented one and played with it for a bit and it was garbage. It was absolutely garbage. Jules, every time you hear the word California, you say it again in that kid's voice in your head. California. Millmaster, you went down a rabbit hole of lost movie history recently. Crazy. Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like a terrible way. Still looking for the Canadian television edit of Mallrats. They had one of those? I remember, actually, I might have seen it because I remember watching Mallrats and the song Suzanne from Weezer. This makes me feel so old. But like, it wasn't the internet where you could just go on YouTube and listen to music and do whatever, right? So I remember holding a cassette player up to the TV speaker so I could record that song, so I would have it on a cassette I could listen to. And it's like, it even had Buddy talking over it at the end when it says that he's going to see the magic eye picture. And he's like, really? So like that was in there in the tune. It's, man, it's so crazy to think back. Ian, you don't feel like getting robbed on Modern Horizons 3? Well, can't blame you, man. Who does want to get robbed? Waffle, yep, if you play best of 3 on Arena, you definitely have way more control over the outcome of your match because you can sideboard and it's not just down to one lucky or unlucky hand. So best of 3 is definitely a more reasonable way to play. I never play best of 3 on Arena. I just jam through best of 1 games and don't really care, to be real. I'm like, let's go. I played in the midweek Magic event today. I picked the green-black Golgari mid-range deck, and it worked really well for me. So I was just like, I didn't bother swapping to any other deck. I got my wins pretty quick, actually. I played 4 games in the event, won the 3 games to get my cosmetics, and was like, I'm good. I'm out. I'm done. I'm going back to playing my white-blue deck over in the new player stuff. Brent, the Power Glove is the kind of accessory masochists like speedrunners use to make their lives extra miserable. Fair enough. Ian, the Power Glove you know what, man? It worked. You might have had one and you might have thought it was trash, but the majority of people didn't have it. So it just made you think, whoa, it's so cool, bro. It looks like the Wizards Blu-ray has almost 40 minutes of deleted scenes. It does? What? For real? Oh, bro. Hold on, man. Hold on. I gotta put this on my Amazon wish list before I forget. The Wizard Collector's Edition Blu-ray. Oh, it looks so cool. Yeah, they gave it this like retro cover art. That's cool. Wait, which one is it? Is it that one? Or is it this one? Hold on, let me click on it and see. Where's the description? Is this the one? Yeah, it looks like this is the one that has the extras. All right, sweet. That's dope, man. All right. I'm going to pop that on my wish list. Beautiful. That's cool. Millmaster, the Canadian TV edit's so far off from the script, it's almost like a different movie. Have you seen it, or is this just like an urban myth? The deluxe edition has the second cut of the movie where most of the movie's the same, but it changes the opening. What? Deluxe edition? I didn't see that, man. Kensuke, Super Mario 3 hadn't come out in North America. Just the Famicom version was available. So, yeah, I already had it before the movie came out. It felt pretty neat. What up, Beasley? How you doing? The Snyder Cut turned Justice League from 90 minutes to like 4 hours. 4 hours is too much, man. It's too much. That's too much. I'm not interested in a 4 hour movie, bro. Like, there's no way that it's worth it. There's no way that it's worth it. And that's what I heard as well about the Snyder Cut, is that it doesn't make it better. It just makes it longer, right? Logo, Force of Will's dead to me, bro. After they pulled that crap with Ghost in the Shell, I just said, you're done. You're done. Welcome to Ripoff Central. I'm not buying any more of your product. I'm done playing your game. Like, it drove me out, man. Drove me out. Edwards in the movie The Wizard, you were confused how they knew all the secrets in a game no one had ever played. Yep, definitely. You're just like, huh? Wait a minute. What? How do you know about the flute, right? Like, how do you know this stuff from a game that nobody's ever played, and they're just debuting it for like this movie, right? But as a kid, that's a momentary thought, and you just go, whatever, man. So hyped to see Super Mario 3 on the screen. It was absolutely epic, bro. Absolutely. Small. You miss when movies were 1.5 hours and didn't turn into a multiverse long running series. I was just talking about that with Carly. I was saying, yo, the ideal length of a movie for me is about 90 minutes. Now, if you need more than 90 minutes to genuinely tell your story, and the stuff that's extra in there doesn't feel like it's dragging or whatever else, then great. But if you have like the extra crap in there and it just feels like extra crap, like Endgame, for example, felt like it had a bunch of bloat in it, where I was like, this movie doesn't need to be as long as it is. And it really started to feel like movies were being made into 2.5 hour or longer things because they knew they were going to put them on streaming services, and they were just trying to up the amount of hours of stuff they had for you to eyeball on the streaming service, as opposed to the story requiring it. Like at first, when they made longer movies, I was like, well, I mean, if you're going to the movie theater, you're getting more bang for your buck, right? You pay the same price, but you get more movie. But if it's just longer and not stronger, then what's the point? What's the point? Pyre, the Snyder Cut made you realize you don't actually like Snyder? I'm pretty indifferent to any individual directors. Like, there's very few movies that I like really know the director of. I couldn't tell you the director of most movies. I think the only director that I ever really paid any attention to overall was like the name was just in my brain and it just slipped out. Quentin Tarantino, right? Because back in the day, Quentin Tarantino films, right? You got Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. Like, there's a number of genuinely enjoyable ones. So you see his name on it and you're like, this is probably going to be pretty solid. But overall, most of the time, I had no idea who directed what movie. Even though they put it at the beginning, they put it at the end. I don't connect it for shows, for movies. So you could have the same director making 4 different movies and I'd have no clue, right? So I have no opinion one way or the other on Snyder, honestly. Small, 3 hours made sense for Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Ring, like, I love Lord of the Rings, but those movies are absolutely dreadful in terms of, like, actually watching them. I went and saw them in the theater, and I fell asleep for each one. I've never fallen asleep in any movie, but each Lord of the Rings movie, I fell asleep in the theater. There's something about them. I really enjoyed the books, but the movies are just, right? Like, that's the way it goes. It's crazy to me that you could take subject material that I enjoy, be faithful to it, but it was just a snooze fest. I didn't feel bored when I was watching the movie. I would just fall asleep without realizing it. Like, I wasn't a kid, as an adult. I just fall asleep during the movie. It's ridiculous. Reverend, you're waiting on Beetlejuice 2. The preview looks good. Well, I hope for your sake it's good. I gotta be real. When it comes to current era movies and stuff like that, I I have no faith in reboots, redos, the next steps, any of it, because they're trying to revitalize old properties because they're terrified of losing money, and the revitalization never actually feels true to the originals. So it's just like, it's like they stretched the skin of somebody you know over a weird automaton that's trying to pretend to be them. And modern movies seem to have forgotten that movies are about entertainment first, right? Like that's just the nature of it. So I find it hard to get enthused about anything like that. I'm just, it's because of the reality. There's just been so much jank, right? Cthulhu, shame we'll never see the OG cut of Event Horizon because they stored it in a salt mine for some reason and it got destroyed. The reason they store a lot of film in salt mines because salt absorbs moisture. So the idea is it's supposed to keep the films from getting destroyed over time. But obviously, if there's a cave in or something else, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Brent, you think Snyder's a visual genius, but if you don't have a creative team reining him in, the movies suck. They have good visuals, but where's the dialogue, character, plot, and pacing? Those are really important. Absolutely. Blightsteel, Rings of Power, never checked it out. Never checked it out. When I heard they were doing a modern day Lord of the Rings show, I just went, it's going to be garbage. Like, look at what they did with the Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time. Oh my God. It's comical. It's comical in how bad that show is. Like, for real. I went back and went through all 12 books of the Wheel of Time before the show came out. And I started watching it, and I was just like, ooh, oh no. I'm like, okay, this is just a different spinning of the wheel. The web is being weaved in a different way. The wheel weaves as it wills. And I watched the first episode. I watched it with Carly, and she hated it. She thought it was awful. And I wasn't saying anything because I didn't want to like poison her thoughts towards it. I was just watching the first episode. But within the first 10 minutes, she turned to me and was like, why does this show hate men? And I said, I don't know. I have no idea. And then I just watched it, and I, like, some parts made me angry, some parts made me laugh, and I just went, well, you know what, I should try a second episode. 10 minutes into the second episode, I knew for real. I was like, oh, there's nothing here for me. Like, literally nothing here for me. So I'm just going to leave, whatever, man. I'm not even mad. I don't even care. What you've made isn't even set in the same world as the story I know. So have fun with whatever you guys are doing, but this is awful. Just awful. Just awful. The choices they made were amazing. Like, amazingly bad. Oh, so yeah. I don't like, if it's something that I like and they're making it now, it's gonna suck. Maybe 5-10 years from now, when they've like worked it out of their system and they're like, maybe we should focus on making things like entertaining instead of just having a checklist of things that we need in a movie to hit particular agendas and all this crap. Like, I just want to be entertained first and foremost. And I suppose the upside to what's happened with current era movies is that it's made watching older stuff so much easier, because everything from like the olden days at least feels like it's trying to entertain you, right? And that feels like a novel concept in some ways. So movies that definitely weren't up to my standards before because there was a bunch of good movies around them, well, now they're being compared to the crap that's being churned out now. So they feel more entertaining. Like before, I'd probably have like very little interest in watching any movies from the 80s or whatever. I'd just be like, no thanks, no thanks. It's gonna be filmed kind of crappily, and I'm probably not gonna get that much out of it. But now I'm like, yo, I'm way more open to movies from the current, like not from the current era, from older times, right? That's just the deal. That's the deal. Ashmead, the Wheel of Time is 12 books, not 20. It's 12. It ends in like the 12th book or whatever. Unless the 12th book was split into 2 parts or something and I'm misremembering it. But it's definitely not 20. Cthulhu, you're skeptical after all the blunders. I mean, I get it. I get it. Ashmead, you watched the first half of the first episode and rage quit. It's understandable. It's understandable. It didn't feel like it was like fan fiction. It was like fan fiction written by somebody who didn't really understand what the original was, but just had the pieces to play with. And so the upside is they made it so divergent that I couldn't even care, right? Like having Perrin having a wife that hates him to start out with, and she's the strong blacksmith while he's like the pussy boy. It was just like, oh, okay, cool. I guess, sure. Why not? Fuck Fael, right? Who cares about any of that? When you can have him have a woman who didn't love him and is totally frigid towards him, and then she dies and we're supposed to care. And I'm like, okay. And then it's just like, Matt's dad is a piece of garbage now. Oh, that's a change that definitely adds to the story and makes things better, right? You just made him into a scumbag, and you made Rand into a Riverdale side boyfriend to the main character, Egwene. And I'm just like, well, those are some interesting choices that you've made for this awful variation of the story. Have fun with it. Knock yourself out. Fill your boots. I ain't even mad because I don't care. This ain't for me. I don't know who it's for, but it ain't for me. Fisher, you showed someone Clerks 1 and they skipped all the rest to watch Clerks 2 because someone told them Clerks is a standalone series. People gonna say what they gonna say, buddy. Reverence Willow shit the bed. Oh, did they make a new Willow? Of course it's gonna suck. Of course, especially when, where do you go with it? The whole story's been told, Dakini, right? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, you dumb Dakini? My favorite part of Willow is the unintentional comedic ending when he has hidden the baby and the old witch goes, impossible! Her acting in that moment makes me laugh so hard. Like, I love it. I love it. Con, you had the Power Glove and it was wonderful for RC Pro-Am. I remember that game. Andrew, Prime Wheel of Time disappointed. It's a different variation of the world. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Small, you think the people who make the show movies today hate the source material? See, I don't feel like they hate the source material. I feel like they just think it doesn't matter to have any kind of consistency with the original. I think they feel like it's like buying a set of models and you can do whatever you want with them and go, here's this guy and I can do whatever I want with them. So it doesn't come across to me like they hate them. It just comes across like they fundamentally don't understand their essence and don't feel like understanding their essence matters. So I guess that's a side effect of fantasy becoming more popular. Like Game of Thrones made huge inroads in terms of getting people going, yo, fantasy stories can be really awesome. Fantasy went from being this side thing for us weirdos to enjoy into having a more mainstream appeal. And as a result, they had to make the more like pablum variation where ultimately it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense or anything, right? Like it does feel fan fiction-ish. Jules, I don't believe, whenever anybody says something like that, I can't believe it. Like when you say the new Doctor who was pure trolling and they didn't think it would succeed and it was made out of spite, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, like, these companies only care about money. That's it. So they believe that letting these people do the nonsense they want to do with these products will lead them to more money. They're not just going, I want to hatefully make this garbage to get at the fan base. That's not a thing. Corporations don't care about your feelings. They only care about your money. So they're not willing to make you feel bad to lose money. That's not like, you know what I mean? They're not willing to go, yo, we're going to lose money. Let's do it to make people feel bad. That doesn't make And it doesn't stand up to anything. It's just corporations are soulless, don't care. They want the money, and they think that they're going to get the money. That's how I view it. Skunky, the Power Glove worked really well with the Top Gun game, which is weird. Well, Top Gun was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Like, landing on the aircraft carrier at the end was super difficult. Super difficult. Baron, you're with me. The Wheel of Time show is junk compared to the books. Yup. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Yeah, I feel like the goal was entertaining more in the past, and entertainment is a side effect. They think that they can get the money by doing what they're doing, so that's why they do what they're doing. Well, Small, saying that you don't like the source material is a big difference from hating it, right? Like, there's lots of people who can go, you know what? I don't like these aspects of my job. Still going to do my job, right? So I don't take that to be, I hate it. I hate this source material. Just, you don't like it? Okay, whatever. Not everybody working on everything loves what they're doing, right? Do you think everybody fucking working at McDonald's loves what they're doing? Do you think anybody, like, all these different things? Pick any fucking job. Do you think everybody there loves what they're doing? Some people are there for a fucking paycheck. That's it, right? So you're going to get the same things with writers, directors, where they're like, this is how I get money, not I love this. I imagine that the majority of movies are put together by people who are at best indifferent, right? It's rare to find projects where you have a ton of passionate people who genuinely love what's going on, especially in this corporate era where those people will just be taken and squeezed for everything they have. Their passion will be, oh, you have passion? That means I can pay you less and work you harder. That's all that means now. So, yeah, that's right. That's right, Baron. Reboots are safer for the executives. You're correct. You're correct. They're terrified of losing money, so they try and go for the safe bets. 100%. Bob Valgan, there's too much using popular brands and names to use it for their own agendas and not actual good storytelling. Yeah, it does feel like there will be things where they say, oh, it's part of this series, but you can tell it was just meant to be something different, and they're just like, well, if we put this popular name on it, then you'll go for it. It's like the Loki story, where you think it's going to be about the cool trickster god Loki, but then the show after a couple episodes goes, well, actually it's about this chick and she's a Loki and like she's cooler than Loki you like, so transfer all your like to her and follow the story along with her, while the original Loki that you like just gets beat up by frumpy security guards and kicked in the junk over and over. And it's just like, oh no, I came to see the character that I actually enjoy. You can't do this transference thing. It never works. It never works. Especially since you don't have the capability of creating a cooler, more engaging character, because I don't know why you can't. Honestly, I don't know why they can't. But if you've got a stronger character, you'd start out with that as your own premise. But you can't do that. So you try and take something and basically do the bait and switch. You're here for this, but actually, you're here for this. This isn't about you. And I just went, oh, Loki was the most egregious example that I've seen of a, like, wait, the show's not about Loki? He's like a side character, and all the traits that we loved about him have been nullified for this show, so he can sit in a security blanket or something? Okay. And then you get to the end, and they got the Kang crap, and you're like, this is all awful. Like, this is genuine garbage. The Loki series sucked bag, right? And then they're like, yo, do you like the Hulk? Well, we're going to start out the She-Hulk show with the Hulk, and we're going to have the She-Hulk yell at him because she's like, I have to deal with the stuff that ladies have to deal with every day, which means I have more anger than you could ever have. Okay. Now watch me twerk and hold little twink men in my arms. It's like, okay, all right, have fun with this. Like, I don't even care, man. I don't care. It doesn't make me mad. I just look at it and go, how dumb is this? But hey, whatever. There's tons of stuff to enjoy. I don't waste my time on any of the nonsense. Dividend, you got a buddy who's reading the Wheel of Time for the first time, but you can't remember what what he's already read and what will be spoilers for. Yeah, you don't want to accidentally spoil big moments, man. You definitely don't want to do that. Felonious tea. Yep, they're using the best IPs as skin suits. It's worn off. There's no like when someone goes they're making a new whatever. I go, are they though? Are they really? Are they just making some random crap and calling it that because they think it'll get your dollars? It doesn't work on me anymore. It doesn't. It doesn't work on me anymore. Yeah, McGar, you were wondering why there's a preponderance of reboots? It's because the budgets for movies are getting ever bloated. Like, you've got $300 million, $400 million to make a movie. Then they're going to spend hundreds of $1,000,000 to advertise it. So just to break even, movies will have to bring in $1 billion. Like $1 billion. And so you end up with insane nonsense like the second Doctor Strange movie. The first Doctor Strange movie was amazing. I had no idea. I thought to myself, how good could it be? But the thing is, Marvel had me at that point. Marvel delivered entertainment. That's what they did. The first Avengers movies were a lot of fun. And maybe Marvel didn't have the smartest writing. And maybe they were a little too tongue-in-cheek and thought they were a little too clever. But that's totally forgivable. Because at the end of the day, you were entertained by their films. You knew you could go and check them out and you'd probably be all right. You see Marvel, you don't really know what it's going to be. It's still going to be a good time. So the first Doctor Strange, Dormammu, I came to bargain, the folding city, all that stuff, bro. That's awesome. The ancient one, all of it. It was really cool. That movie was really, really cool. The Dormammu, I've come to bargain, where he's literally willing to trap himself in an endless cycle of death and pain to shackle an elder god to his will. Yeah, I did not see it coming. And it was fucking genius. It felt awesome. What a cool use of the time stone. Here's a god that you have no ability to destroy or genuinely stop, but you can lock him into a form of stasis at the cost of you constantly getting destroyed and watching the god come to terms with the fact that it's like he doesn't instantly capitulate. He keeps destroying Doctor Strange over and over and over until he finally resigns himself to the fact that he's going to have to make a deal to continue on with what he wants to do. And that was amazing. That movie was awesome. Like, all of it. So cool. You start out with Doctor Strange as this arrogant fucking dickhead who won't help people because it'll mess up basically his surgical record. He wants to have, like, the top scores and have very few failures on his record. So he's turning people away. He goes out and does shit he shouldn't do, like drink and drive, gets into an accident, messes up his hands. And now he's being turned away by top-level surgeons who are like, no, sorry, I don't want my success rate to drop. So you're out of luck. And he gets so desperate that he ends up looking into mysticism. And even then, he's arrogant when he first goes into it. But he is going to be this vector for good. He's going to be a hero. The potential is there. It's written in the stars. Like, he's so cool to see his growth and how he changes through the course of the story. And then the second one, he's just there in the movie. Like, he's not the main character. America Chavez, or whatever her name is. And, like, he's just along for the ride in a big blorped out CGI sea of deadness. Like, what was it? Age of Ultron, where they had, like, 1 billion robots coming at you. Bam, bam, bam. And, like, it just meant you got all these robots, and then you've got, like, not Iron Man, but the other guy that Don Cheadle plays. I can't remember what his name is. But he looks the same as the CGI guys. It was just a big, bland whatever. So they make these movies that cost insane amounts of money, and then people just get bored and go, I'm not gonna bother. I'm not gonna bother. I'm not gonna deal with any of it. You know? Like, so I went from like, I'll check out every Marvel movie to, I remember when the third Ant-Man and Wasp movie came, Carl's like, the new Ant-Man and Wasp movie is coming out. And I'm like, it's gonna suck. And she's like, why do you say that? I said, because it's a Marvel movie. And do you remember the second Ant-Man and Wasp? And she's like, no, really. And I'm like, yeah, we saw that. You think that's a good sign? You know what I mean? Like, they went from, I'll buy a ticket to whatever you're making to, no, no, I'm not going to see anything you make. Because, like, Endgame was it for me. Endgame was it. You could tell that they were going into their next stage, and it was, like, so ham-fisted. They brought all the ladies on screen for their, like, girl power moment, but then they failed to deliver on it by having them make a genuine impact to the battle for real. And you're just like, you need to follow through so it feels like what you're showing on the screen is actually happening, instead of having them feel overly ineffectual, with the exception of Marvel, who's so insanely strong that she can't be ineffectual. And so you just looked at it and go, like, I don't care ultimately what agenda or whatever it is you have to push. All you have to give me is a good story. You can have whatever political message you want, 1000%. You just have to give me a good story. That's my actual requirement. But since that's not on the menu the same way anymore, I'm just like, whatever, man. Whatever. Like, I'm absolutely down with the concept of your strong leading ladies, but you've got to do it like the old guard, where it feels genuinely believable and the characters are likable and you can understand how they got where they are. You do something like Miss Marvel and it's like she's arrogant and unlikable and you just go, okay, like I'm not rooting for you because I don't like you. And this feels, I don't know, forced, right? So that's the difference. War Machine, that's it. That's the name of the guy. It was War Machine. War Machine, 100%. So yeah, when it comes down to it, like all I want is to be genuinely entertained. I want to be properly entertained, and that's the only thing that matters. That's it. That's the whole. That's the whole reason I'm watching a movie, is to be entertained, and for no other purpose, right? Like once upon a time, Disney, the guy in charge of Disney said, "Look, our job is to entertain people, not to make art, not to like mold society or whatever." Like that can happen as a side effect, but our job is to entertain people. And then things got changed around where it didn't feel like entertainment is the number one priority anymore. And without that, it's like going for dinner and they don't care what the food is like. Like they're like, check it out, we put all this paint on the walls and we've got weird chairs and tables and kooky glasses and stuff, and okay, but what's the meal like? And then they just serve you bland garbage and you're just like, this is absolute nothing. There's nothing here. Like I'm never coming back. I don't want any of this. You didn't give me anything. Like the one thing that matters the most, the actual food, is an abject failure, right? So that's the deal. That's the deal. Space Wizard, Ironheart. I have no idea what that is. No idea what that is. So, like hearing they have like a new hero to check out, my brain instantly goes, no, no, I'm not interested in another Madam Web or whatever. Where they're like, check out this character you've never heard of, and it's like, you guys are really scraping the bottom of the barrel, right? Like, isn't one of the new superheroes they're trying to promote a one-legged deaf chick? And you're just like, okay, who is this and what are her cool powers and what cool story do you have that actually goes along with it? Like, you're going to need a lot to make this cool because all I've heard from the advertising is that she's a one-legged deaf chick, and that shouldn't be what I'm hearing about. What I should be hearing about is an epic story that I'm interested in. But if the first thing that you have to tell me is just that they have multiple disabilities. Okay, when I think of blind superheroes, I think of that awful Daredevil movie. All right, and now it's like, yeah, but she has one leg. Oh, all right. So, what? What? You want to talk about the superpowers and whatever, or anything at all? No, man, this is a new epic character we're bringing in. It's like, good luck. That's all I can say is good luck, because I'm just tuned out, bro. I'm just tuned out. Ironheart is a lady Iron Man that made her suit from junkyard stuff. It feels like it's going to be a hard sell to sell a character like you've already got Iron Man. So you're going to have like dollar store Iron Man, basically. And it's like, okay, that's a big hill to climb, right? Like you can do things with lesser heroes if it's done right. Like Luke Cage, for example. Luke Cage was really smart in the way that they started that series because at the beginning, Luke Cage has very little action. They don't have it going crazy or whatever. So because one of his abilities is his body's like just really really tough or whatever. So he like punches somebody else's fist or whatever, and then the bones in that guy's fist break and come out of his hand. And because they chose to not go really over the top with the action, that was a really impactful moment where you could see his powers in action and it felt organic. That show fell off the rails after a certain number of episodes, but it actually started out strong and they made good choices with it. So I was interested in that one. So yeah, I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like they make characters that you can genuinely really connect with overall. It's just like it's empty crap most of the time where you just go, "Okay, all right." Like I love stories. I want to be pulled in. I want to be transported to just like your world and I don't want to spend my time thinking about pointless crap. Like reboots are real difficult. You usually end up with stuff now like when they rebooted the Frasier show and you're like the original Frasier was awesome. The reboot of it is so bad that instead of actually really watching the show and paying attention to what's going on, you're noticing your brain needs something to focus on. So you just think about how old Kelsey Grammer looks. And you think about like, oh, this guy's supposed to be the new Niles. Well, he's no good. And like none of it, none of it was any good. Like any of it. Planet Terror has a girl with one leg and a machine gun for the other. Yeah, that was like the Grindhouse stuff, right? That's epic. That's epic. Sammy, I didn't pay much attention to the new Star Wars movies. I watched like the first new Star. I'm pretty sure it was the first new Star Wars movie where you have the one guy who's the stormtrooper, and at the beginning he gets that bloody red handprint on his mask to differentiate him, and he's like basically having like almost an identity crisis. And that movie seemed like it was all right. It seemed like it wasn't too bad, but I was never that much into Star Wars to start with, and it seemed like it just got more and more ridiculous to the point where you had Lando Calrissian in love with a robot that was obsessed with robot rights, and it was just like, is this a communist robot or something? Like what exactly is this garbage? And then the articles that you would see were just talking about how Lando Calrissian slept with robots and stuff and like how he's into everybody and you're just like, what? Shouldn't you be telling me about how epic the story is or whatever else? Like, why is this your advertising? It was strange. It was strange. Fisher, the Frasier reboot was hard to get through. I didn't watch, like, I watched the first episode and I don't even know if we bothered watching a second one. Maybe we watched part of a second one, but I gave up on it super, super quick. Oh, was Han Solo where he was in love with a communist robot? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't pay attention to most of it for real because I'm interested in being properly entertained, and it didn't seem like it was gonna be there. The most entertainment you can get from that crap is just watching people like Mauler tear it apart, right? So But yeah, it always comes back to one thing. Give me a good story, and I'm happy. It's real simple. Anything else, and I'm just going to be bored. I'm going to lose interest and wander away. Space Wizard, they did a reboot of Animaniacs. I remember watching that when I was a kid, but it's not anything I particularly care about. Yeah, Joe, that's what I thought. I thought they said that Lando was like into like everybody and everything, and he would bang a ham sandwich or your mom or a goat and not care. But I just went, who cares about this? Like, why is this even a thing? Why is this conversation even happening? Tell me about the entertaining aspects of your movie. Tell me what you're doing that's new and unique and fun. And it's just like, I don't know, like maybe he'll put his dong in a grilled cheese or something. It's like, oh, okay, all right. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. This whole thing of like taking properties that you know and taking characters that you like and trying to diminish them so that you'll like other characters is not a winning path, right? It makes no sense. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah, Sabby, I agree. I saw that they like made Luke Skywalker into an old give up curmudgeon kind of thing, and it's like this isn't how you make people like your new characters by going, we made the guys you like suck in these movies. And it's like, okay, why? Well, because you have to like dislike them because now that makes our new guys cool by comparison. No, not really. Not really. It doesn't work. You got to make your guys cool to make them cool. Not like, if I tear down who you love, then you got to love this instead. It's like, how'd that work out for you? You know? What up, Nishimoto? So yeah, I'm looking forward to when all of this works its way through the system as the movie studios realize, hey, this isn't making us any profit. You know? Like we're not getting the results that we want. What do we do next? The answer is properly entertain people. That's the deal. Certain they're making a new Blade. See, whenever I hear something like that, I'm like, well, it's gonna suck. Right? It's gonna suck. A new Blade? Alright. Have fun with that. I assume it'll be garbage. I let other people watch all this stuff and then I just wait until it filters through. Well, actually, this one turned out to be okay. And I go, okay, cool, I'll go check it out. Dow, if you tear down the characters, I like to prop up some shitty characters you want me to like. I'll out of spite never watch any new stuff. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. Why? Like, if you, it's like the same thing that happened with the Loki show, where it's like, yo, I'm here to see Loki. And they're like, nah, because Loki sucks. And it's like, no, he doesn't. Just this weird version you've made for this show does. Yeah, but we're the ones who make it, so this is canon. It's like, cool. So you ruined one of your characters. No, we didn't. We made a cool new character that you love. Oh, where are they? What do you mean? It's her. And it's like, I haven't connected with her at all. She's done nothing to make me like her. I'm completely indifferent. Like, I'm 100% indifferent to her. So you've just made the character that I like lesser in your show when I'm here to watch them. And you've made this other character supposed to be awesome while you have the main character I'm here to follow in the background blurred out. And it's just like, okay. But didn't you see? She flipped down the hall and kicked a guy. Okay. But like, what about Loki, who the show's about? That's her. She's another one. No. No. Millmaster, nope. I never heard anybody say Black Panther was the first black superhero movie, but I didn't pay that much attention to all that crap. So I don't I don't know, man. Certain Japan has some good news stories. Yeah, actually, I find that moving outside of North America is where you find the enjoyable stories. There's a lot of good anime out there coming out of Japan. South Korea actually makes a bunch of fun stuff too. You can find some really enjoyable stuff from those guys as well. Space Wizard, you stop pre-ordering game. Well, I mean, there's no reason to pre-order games in the current era, anyways, and that's why they have to offer you these pre-order bonuses, where we'll give you like hammer pants that have My Little Ponies all over them for your Halo dude. If you buy this in advance, if you buy our buggy game before it comes out, then we'll give you a skin for your goon. And it's like, no, I'll just wait. You don't need to pre-order something when there's infinite copies of it. Pre-orders made sense back in the day of, let's say, Final Fantasy 7 for the PlayStation or whatever, where you're just like, okay, there's limited amounts available of this, so you pre-order it to make sure you get it, and you'd get a complete working game. Nowadays, pre-orders are, will you pay us for a game we haven't finished, and maybe we'll finish it later? And we've got a bunch of bonuses, but you can't get everything you want unless you buy 17 different versions of the game, and you need a different chart to tell you what you can get with what. And I just go, or I can ignore your game for like 5 years, and it'll show up on Steam, completely fixed, with a shitload of DLC, and I'll get it for like $8. So, yeah. How about you have to prove your game's worthwhile, and how about I pay almost nothing for it? That's the reality you've turned it. The good news is I don't feel the need to play virtually anything when it comes out. I can just wait. Who cares? Who cares? Right? So the whole PlayStation exclusives and stuff, it's like, okay, yeah, but you want this game. I'm like, meh, I can wait. It doesn't matter. We got an exclusive deal for 2 years. Cool. I'll get it 5 years from now, bro. I don't give a shit. Like 100%. 100%. Millmaster, yeah, they got some fun comedies from Britain for sure. Brent, you got broken on pre-order so long ago. Yeah, like when you get games that don't work from the get-go, so you're like, so I paid the most for this game and paid you in advance, and I get a lesser experience than if I just waited? No. If I'm paying to go first and you're giving me a broken experience, I'm not buying from you anymore. Like, that's just it. That's just it. Bino, you liked midnight releases? What, lining up in the middle of the night? Fisher, have I ever played the game Catherine? No, but I'm pretty sure Carly did. I'm pretty sure Carly did. Catherine's a pretty crazy one. Actually, I think my buddy has like the collector's edition that comes with like a pillowcase and all kinds of other stuff. I think that was the game. I could be wrong though. I might be misremembering. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not all angry and bitter about any of this. I just looked at it and go, it is what it is. Companies doing dumb nonsense, and I'm just being a smart consumer. I'm making sure that my entertainment dollars are wisely spent on things that are worthwhile. I'm not going to overpay. I'm not paying $90 in advance for a game sight unseen. So, the makers of Fallout 76 can be like, hey, you know how all our games have deep, rich RPG action with like a huge fleshed out world and tons of characters? What if we got rid of all of that and you just wandered through a world where at most there was voice recordings of people, and then like all you guys get to be the content? What? Yeah, we figure instead of like having NPCs, you guys can just be like the NPCs in each other's worlds and stuff, and that'll be way more gratifying. Also, our game is broken and doesn't work right, so like it's totally worth the money. 76 was just a fucking skis, man. Totally, like, just the skis, bro. Like, they might have fixed it eventually, turning it into something, but that's the deal now. I'm just like, no, wait. I'm cool with waiting. It's cheaper and you get a better experience. I don't need to be on the cutting edge of every new game that comes out. Like, maybe Grand Theft Auto 6 would be something I would want right away. Like, Grand Theft Auto 5 was a game I got immediately when it came out, pretty much, because it was epic, right? But there's virtually nothing in that category anymore. So in a way, they've just done me a favor. It's just like, yo, you've made this way easier for me. Like, way easier. So for me, especially when it comes to games, I'm way more interested in indie games made by people who genuinely care about their game and aren't at the behest of some gigantic game studio that is going to have them make a game. They'll do an incredible job. The game will do really well, and they'll get fired. And just like, oh, you're done. Goodbye. Kicked out the door. Yeah, you did a great job. Thanks. We're going to cut you now so that we can have awesome line numbers for our corporate nonsense. And it's like, all right. Well, Dad, if you like being a part of a launch of a big online game, that's understandable. That is a value add for you that makes it worth your money. That's totally a reasonable position. I don't care that much. Like, it doesn't really do anything for me to be part of the, like, I got it right away while everybody's on there. Like, I don't care. Most of the time, I don't really like games that have a bunch of, like, I'm not interested in playing big massive multiplayer online games anyways, because most of the time the people suck. So it's like, hey, do you want to play with a bunch of jerk-offs? And it's like, no, not really. Not really. Space Wizards, have I looked at the showcase cards from Assassin's Creed? I think I've probably seen them, but nothing comes to mind when I'm thinking of them. It's been a while since I looked at the Assassin's Creed stuff. Springtrap, you loved Mojang before Microsoft bought it out? Well, I still love playing Minecraft, man. So whatever. Whatever. Live service is BS. Getting sick of single player games being made live service. Yeah, I mean, I refuse to get involved with any of it. I'm so old that I remember when DLC wasn't like pay $20 for a new shirt for your guy and an emote where he's going like this, boop boop, and teabagging. Like, I remember when it was like, hey, I've got Ultima 7 Part 2, and they're like, you should get Ultima 7 Part 2 Serpent's Isle, the expansion for it, that adds an entire new region, tons of new magic items, new quests and whatever. Like, it's pretty much revitalizes your game. And it's like, oh, yes, I would like that very much. But the new era, like, DLC is just tiny little fragments of whatever, right? And you just go, eh. So the indie stuff is where it's at. 100%. 100%. Jules, I don't know anything about the horse armor on Oblivion stuff. None of that. Certain, yeah, DLC used to be, like, yeah, you would get 10, 20, 30, 40 more hours of gameplay, expanding on the world in a considerable way, where it genuinely felt like, yo, I'm going to get to have a bunch more fun playing these games. And now they're just like, we have games where, like, you want to play by yourself, you got to have your system online all the time, connected to the internet, and it's like, no, I don't want that. No, but you need to, and, like, we need to have you go through all these hoops and stuff, and just go, you know what, I'm good without it. The console makers did a good job of driving me onto Steam, and Steam is where I've been happiest, because I got a huge game collection on Steam. that I can take with me from computer to computer, can play that stuff on the Steam Deck, all of it. All of it. It's pretty sweet. So yeah, I like getting games that I want to play when they're at the best deal. Where you're like, check it. Like I wanted to try Portal 1 and Portal 2, and I got them together for $1.30. That's how much I paid to get Portal. Both of them. It's like, yeah, those are good games that people talked a whole bunch about. I didn't have to pay a whole bunch of money for them. I'm fine with waiting, for real. I guess if I made content talking specifically about video games and new video games, then I'd get in on it. Or if like really good friends of mine were playing it and we're like, yo, let's play together like the old Diablo 2 days and stuff, that would change things. You know what I mean? So there's gotta be value in it somewhere. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Samuel, yeah, Portal's a cool concept. I haven't actually played through those games. I just grabbed them when I saw them at an amazing deal. And for those specifically, I had used money from selling my Steam cards too. So I was like, yo, this is dope. Like, for real. Once upon a time, having the physical games was awesome, and they had decent trade-in value. And now the only system that I really feel like it's worth having the physical titles for is like the Nintendo Switch. And other than that, it's just straight up Steam action, bro. The Assassin's Creed set is an Aftermath style set. It's not a big set. It has like 7 card booster packs. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out ultimately as a product, 100%. What up, Gossett? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, well, Dad, that's how you feel about video games. I tend to be more that way about Magic and stuff. I'm interested in what's currently going on with Magic when it comes to video games and movies. I'm like, yo, I just want what I'm gonna have a good time with at a good deal, and I don't care about timelines. So everyone's got different things that have higher priority, but paying more for an experience that's going to be inferior, that's how it feels to me for video games. Aldini, you played Eve online for years, played for free from the in-game money being able to use for a subscription. Well, there you go. I don't like subscription services for like role-playing games and stuff. That's why I never got into World of Warcraft. I'm like, no, I just want to buy the game. I'm like, no, you can pay us $15 a month. No, I'll pass. That's okay. I don't need to be a part of that. So I've never had a video game where it required a subscription, and I couldn't see myself ever going for that because it just feels like a ripoff, bro. Baron, you think Assassin's Creed will be the first Magic release without commander decks in years? Or are they not making Assassin's Creed commander decks? I don't know, man. I don't know. Nishimoto Super Chat says, the toast sees into my soul. He's back there staring at you, buddy. He's back there staring at you, and you've just dashed every day's hopes. He was sitting there going, I can't believe that I've held the board for this long without anybody coming to snake it from me. You have crushed his hopes. Because you are now the lord of the board. There you go, buddy. Pierce, yep, a pass on any subscription service. It's not worth it. Not worth it for me. Everybody decides their own valuation system. So it's not something that I would say across the board is of no value to anybody, because you can decide that for yourself. But for me, it was an instant turnoff. And I went, I'll try Guild Wars instead. So it was just like, meh, I just buy that. I own it, and then I can just play it, and I don't have to pay them every month. Yeah, I'd rather just do that. Jules, you get irrationally displeased when you hear people are teaching Magic to new players with Commander. It seems needlessly complicated for a total newbie. Well, if that's who their friends are and that's what they're playing, meh, whatever. It doesn't faze me, man. You want to bring somebody into playing your game and you want them to play with you the way that you play. Like, whatever. that's how I feel now. I get what you're saying, but I don't get angry about it. I just go, yep, it seems like it's definitely easier to ease in with standard, but if you're not going to a game store and you're just going to play with your friends, then meh. And Commander is way more, you can just take back what you've done, and who cares? People aren't chasing the win and whatever. So in some ways you can say that it's easier, because who cares, right? Dad-O-Matic, thanks for the hurtin' video game super sticker. As he wanders along, I find that living game controller to be very unsettling looking. Gian, I want you smoking rocks. Stop it. Your teeth are going to fall out. Certain you're getting the AC starter set because it's under $20? All right. Jungle says, owning the thing you bought? Crazy. Yeah, clearly video game companies would love it. It's like, you should have to pay us like every month for your games. And it's like, no, there's no way you're going to justify that to me, because you're not going to provide enough for my money. So I'll just say no. And there will always be new games coming along that I can just buy outright. So why would I ever go for that model? The biggest game companies have gotten pretty arrogant overall. I'm not really interested in dealing with their nonsense. Fisher, Wirewood Symbiote, and Priest of Titania are letting your modern Elf Burn deck go infinite by turn 3. Well, they want Modern Horizons 3 to shake up Modern, right? So that's how it's going. That's how it's going. It's a crazy world, man. It's a crazy world. Clayton, you think Commander is showcase Magic? Look at my pretty foil cards. I feel like Pimpitude is pretty uniform across Magic altogether, really. You know? There's tons of people who like pimping out their standard decks and whatever else. But whatever, man. I don't play a crazy amount of Commander, so maybe there is more going on there. I don't know. But yeah, as I've aged, I just go, well, there's these pitfalls you can fall into, and it doesn't seem like they're too hard to avoid overall, where you just go, well, if I just don't feel the need to buy it immediately, right? Because what's the reasoning for that? Well, you can't get hosed by the highest price and the least functionality, and you can just let other people whose opinions that you trust go, yo, this is worthwhile, or this isn't. Because there's lots of people rushing in to be first, and I remember wanting to be first with games back in the day, Final Fantasy VII, all that stuff. Like, absolutely. But things have changed for me, where it's like, I have a bunch of video games, and I haven't played them all, and they keep coming out with new crazy games. Carly found some funky ones today, actually. There's one where it's like, it's a weird build your own slot machine kind of thing, where you quit your job and you're trying to play the slots to keep your rent paid. So that looks goofy. And then there's a roguelike billiards game where it's like a pool table, but with roguelike power-ups and stuff. So the games are getting out there. I've played some weird stuff that, like, if I was just staying in the AAA lane, I never would have experienced. And they're fun, for real. Space Wizard, your play group is a degenerate playback competition. I mean, I like getting foily versions of stuff for my cube and having like the biggest, fanciest cube stuff. That's enjoyable. So everyone's got their particular thing. Drunko, you think that as a Commander player that Modern Horizons 3 is definitely for you and not modern players? It's for both. They definitely have a very heavy Commander lean in it, but there are a number of cards that are absolutely going to force rotation into Modern as well. That's what Wizard seems to be mostly focused on now, is forcing rotation into Modern specifically, and just going for Commander over and over and over and over, like endlessly. Endlessly. Dow, you think Commander's easier to pimp out when you don't need to buy 4 of all the good things? Well, that's true. You don't have to have, like, get play sets or whatever. You do need... It is 100 different cards, so... I mean, at the end of the day, you still need... You need 100 pimped out cards instead of 60 pimped out cards. But, I mean, if you're looking at, like, big expensive mythics and stuff like that, then you only need 1. Nishimoto, save it for your calculator. We don't need your dirtiness here. So yeah, I guess, in the current era, there's good and bad when it comes to that video game stuff. The bad is that the companies want to get you to overpay at the beginning, and they don't care that their products don't work. Like, back in the day, it didn't feel like games just didn't work. They didn't release like super buggy garbage. The game industry was like, well, we have to finish the game before we release it, right? But in the current era, it's like, no, we can release it, and then we'll just use like the people who have paid us as bug testers, essentially. You bought the game, report these bugs, we'll fix them over time, maybe. And it's like, what? What? Drunko, you gotta keep to only having 1 pimped commander deck? Well, that makes sense. Some people have like 20, 30 decks, bro. 100%. 100%. Video game customers have done it to themselves. Well, the fact people are willing to pay it. People are willing to pay whatever for the original experience. And like Dad said, in some cases, you want to be there. You want to be like, whoa, yo, everybody's playing this game. I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of the initial discussion. I want to be having these same experiences. I can see that. And if I was more into like gaming currently, then I would probably feel more likely about that, right? Where it's like, yo, I do want to be a part of the first wave, and I will accept the downsides that come with it. What up, Tony? How's the family/life? Family is doing good. Me and Carly are doing good overall, I think. So, it's pretty good, buddy. I could complain, but I'm not gonna. Drungles, you do the same as me. You don't get subscription games, and you normally let releases go for a while before you get them. That makes sense. Baldur's Gate 3, yeah, that one got a bunch of good reviews like right away, and didn't have the whole we're trying to screw you over with microtransaction nonsense. And like some games are like, you got to pay us extra for the ability to save. You got to pay us extra for the ability to fast travel. Oh no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to tell me you're selling me a meal and then go, oh, well, you have to pay for the plate that the food comes on. No, that's included in the cost of the meal. Yeah, no, I know that, but the French fries, you got to pay extra. No, the French fries are part of the burger and fry meal that I'm ordering. No, but like the napkin, and you got to pay to use the fork and knives. Also, you got to pay for the oxygen in the restaurant. Oh, no, all that's supposed to be included in the price of the meal. Like, I'm not buying a content delivery system from you. I'm buying a game, or I'm not buying anything. That's it. Imagine paying $1 per game save. Oh, God. I doubt it'll ever get that bad. Because there's a certain, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is a big indicator that you can have a bunch of commercial success without trying to rob your customers blind and without hosing everybody, right? So when bigger successes like that happen, it shows other companies like, hey, but then you also have the current like mobile gaming, rob people blind, just go, hey, you can't build another house unless you wait 8 hours. Or you pay us $2. And it's like, no, no, that's fine. If your game is reasonably fun, then I'll just put it down and wait the 8 hours and come back later and play it. And if it's not fun and this delay is just gonna, I'm just like, oh, I just won't play a game at all. Right? Like there's no, I've never paid money for any of those games where they're like, now let us show you how to use the in-game star currency. You can use this to speed up your house building. Tap on the house. Click, you use a star. Look, voila, it's done. You make another one. Okay, that's going to be 6 hours. It's like, okay, cool. I'll just come back later. And then when the game's like, well, we've stunted your progress to the point where you're only going to get somewhere if you spend money. It's like, well, thanks for letting me try your game. Goodbye. That's it. That's it. None of them are worth any money, like at all. At all. I will play them and enjoy them for free. No problem. But as soon as you like are like, yo, you got to pay for progress, I'm like, I'm good, bro. I'm good. It ain't worth it. I'm too old school for this. I'm too old school. This isn't the world that I was brought up in. And like a lot of free-to-play games are fucking garbo ripoffs that'll skeeze you. I'll say that about Arena. Arena is a free-to-play game where you can just play as much Magic as you want. They don't gate your ability to actually play Magic behind anything, right? In terms of, oh, you got to wait 6 hours to be able to play another game of Magic. You can play a ton of Magic and you can get free cards, rewards. You can get gold and in-game currency, all of it. You can't get it at the pace to play with everything all at once whenever you want, for sure. But as far as free game models go, it's a lot less obnoxious than the other stuff I've dealt with. What up, Thompson? How's it going, bro? Do I have a favorite monocolored standard? I don't have any standard decks right now. There's nowhere to play standard around me. Like online, I have a mono green standard deck. So it's 250 cards. I don't have a commander deck at all at this juncture. I don't enjoy 4-player commander, so I don't have a commander deck together at this point. I put together a commander deck based on Hazes on, and then I went and played at the local game store, and I did not enjoy myself. I don't enjoy Rule Zero conversations. I don't enjoy the strange, fiddly nature of commander games. All of it is too alien to the Magic the Gathering experience that I am accustomed to and enjoy the most. So now, more and more, I'm becoming the weird one out because Commander is becoming bigger and bigger and the default for everybody. At least Commander's becoming bigger and bigger in the presence that Wizards is giving it, right? So, whatever. I stay in my lane, then play what I like. I like one-on-one Magic. Juggling, remember when you had to get limited edition items by actually playing a game? What? What? Space Wizard? Yeah, retro gaming. Retro gaming's awesome. Playing the old school ones that have everything going on with them and no extra crap. You can just play the game start to finish and there's no wall set up to try and extract money from you or frustrate you into paying, because that's what a lot of it feels like. They're trying to make you like just frustrated so that you open your wallet. And I never will. I just go, if I'm frustrated playing your game, I'll stop playing. There's no game loop that you can provide me that is worth me paying you on an ongoing basis. Did I tweak my arena decks to change the deck ratings? Nah. I just have a big green pile with everything slapped in there. I don't play much high. I only go to silver in ranked with that stuff. I just play it enough to get to silver so that I can get a slightly better reward at the end of the month. And I mostly play like the limited midweek Magic formats they make, or with the the new player decks. I really enjoy playing with those. I've played hundreds and hundreds of games with those. So I find that when I wander out into the regular standard, it's the same handful of decks over and over, and it gets monotonous pretty quickly. So at least with like the beginner decks, there's 10 different decks, and I face off against all the different decks instead of there's like 2 or 3 different decks that like the line of play is always the same. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I find that standard overall currently isn't calling me very much. So the green tower only gets a bit of play. Usually when the game gives me a play green card goal and I'm just like, okay, well, I need to play 30 green cards. Why don't I go on, wander on in and try and have some fun? And if the person's deck is some like crazy, just going to beat you down deck, if they do it fast, then boom, the game's over anyways. If it's a slow control deck, I'm just like, you can have the win. That's cool. I'm going to go and play against people whose decks are on like the same jank level as my deck. Tony, yeah, build a black tower. Playing tower magic is fine with any color. Just put all kinds of cards you think will be fun together, play the deck, and then just notice what never works for you and take it out. Like, there was the Chimmel, the Inner Sun. I really thought that was going to be a lot of fun in the green tower. Turned out to be awful. Awful garbage that never did anything for me. So I yanked it, tossed it off to the side. Doesn't matter, right? But there was another artifact that turned out to be great. The one that makes like fungus dudes when your dudes die. 100%. Jess, I've never heard of the Superheroes Unlimited RPG. But yeah, bro, Steam is amazing. Like, you can play the old school Final Fantasy games, Chrono Trigger, all that stuff done in like redone versions, all of it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. All right, my friends, thanks for coming and hanging out. It's been a nice time chilling with you. I'm going to be heading out for now, and we will reconvene again in the future, probably tomorrow, as usual. So I'll see you guys for that live stream. Take care of yourselves. I descend into the waters of unlifitude.